That was Thunderbolts, Thunderbolts asterisk, a 2025 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics, featuring the team Thunderbolts. This movie was directed by Jake Schreier. I don't know. That's a weird spelling for me. And stars Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Olga Kurylenko, Louis Pullman, Geraldine Viswanathan, Chris Bauer, Wendell Pierce, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Thunderbolts asterisk is: after finding themselves ensnared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their pasts. What did you guys think of Thunderbolts asterisk?
First off, I'm just going to say from here on out, I'm going to call it just Thunderbolts. So, James, you may use the asterisk.
That is not the title of the movie, but if you want to shorthand it, that's fine.
I was shorthanded. The first thing I want to point out is it's just kind of crazy that we have like two Nepo baby actors in this with Wyatt Russell and the Pullman, what's his name? Louis Pullman.
Oh, is that Bill Pullman's kid?
That's Bill Pullman's son.
Oh, okay.
Looks like him.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that we're at this point now where like all the actors that I grew up watching, now their children are in movies.
Sure. And I bet if you looked into all the actors you remember watching when you were young, a lot of them were children of people
Probably
in the movie business too.
Yeah. So I just find that interesting.
Sure.
Yeah. So this movie, I knew very little about going into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with the Thunderbolts. I saw some trailers. I recognized some characters, but my knowledge of the Marvel universe, this is stretching what I know of from my interaction with comic books, with the collectible cards, things like that. So it was kind of nice to go into a movie. For me, I was going pretty fresh. I really didn't know what to expect from this movie. And we were talking about, has Marvel lost its way? And I think, we all talked about Captain America, Brave New World, and I think we're all a little hard on that one. Definitely one of my least favorite Marvel movies. And this movie just seems to be the opposite of that. Whereas this movie had a story, it had a theme to it, which was pretty encompassing of the whole movie. And it felt lived in and real. Whereas other Marvel movies, especially like our more recent ones that are taking place in other dimensions, feel very just fake. And like we have got characters standing in front of something. This movie felt so lived in, and I imagine that most of this movie was filmed practically as much as they could, like on actual sets. And there was something refreshing about that, to be watching a Marvel movie that felt like it was taking place in a real world and not just on a green screen somewhere. This movie, to me, felt the most like a comic book movie, as in like a comic book come to life, that I've maybe ever seen from a Marvel film. Right. Just because when you think about Marvel and like where it started, Marvel has always been about characters and like inner conflict. And yes, there's bad guys and there's fighting and there's punching, but Spider-Man, he's about this kid trying to go through puberty and figure out high school, and X-Men's about mutants being accepted. And like most Marvel stories have a bigger theme to it with this wrapper of superheroes. And this movie felt the same way, both in presentation and look. Like we're going to discuss this in spoilers, but that finale really felt like comic book panels, how the characters were moving through different parts of the world. And I'm just sitting here watching like, oh, I feel like I'm actually watching a comic book on screen, where other Marvel movies I like, but it's a lot of big guys punching and kicking each other. So yeah, I think I would say I was impressed with this movie and surprised. Zach, what'd you think?
I liked the movie. I remember watching it thinking like, okay, this is actually enjoyable. Whereas I think the last like 5 or 6 Marvel movies have been a little bit of slog.
Yes.
kind of stole some of my enthusiasm away from the franchise. This one I was watching and I was like, yeah, I could enjoy this a little bit. I didn't think it was great, but I'm seeing a lot of like positive reviews on it online and stuff like that. I think part of that is just in comparison to what we've been getting lately. I don't know if I'm terribly excited about half of the characters in the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple things I liked about this movie. It had smaller stakes, right? So it wasn't the entire, universe and multi-universe was at threat. For the most part, it was like, will these particular people die or not? Was most of the time the main threat. And to various levels, I care or don't care about these people. But it was enjoyable. There's this one fight towards the beginning. Can I say, like, is it spoilery to say who was against who in the fight?
I think if it's towards the beginning.
I don't think so.
It was something that I rarely, if ever, see in movies. There were 3 or 4 people that all had a target that they were trying to kill, and they were all different targets. So, like, person A was trying to kill person B, but person B could care less about A. They were trying to kill person C.
Mm-hmm.
Person C could care less about either of them. They were just trying to kill person D, and person D was trying to kill person A. And so it's just this interesting interchange where, like, everyone's just kind of focused on a different person. And so, like, they're trying to fight off the person trying to kill them, but they're really just trying to kill someone else, like a Mexican standoff almost.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was clever. And some of the characters I felt were not drawn, very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
We got very little of some of them at all. Others we got a lot more. But yeah, I would say for the most part, I enjoyed myself.
You really wanted to know more about Ghost and her backstory, right?
Sure. I would like to know more about Ghost. James?
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally agree with everything you guys have said. I mean, I enjoyed it. I echo Kyle, and I'm assuming Zach, in having very little knowledge of Thunderbolts or what it meant for the bigger picture going in. I have some context because I've seen all the Marvel movies for, pretty much all these characters, but the context I had was very thin. And a lot of them are attached to movies that I didn't necessarily care for all that much. And so not only were they thin in their original presentation, but I haven't thought about them since. So the idea of like revisiting them all in one movie, it's not that I wasn't excited about it. It's just there was nothing there until I heard people say, no, it's actually good and different than what we've gotten lately. And so that excited me about the movie. After having seen it, I understand people's enthusiasm, just because it's when these movies do break out, it's not because of their superhero-ness. It's because they managed to take themes and genres and mix it with superheroes and make that interesting, do it well type of thing. And I think the mistake has been recently, among many mistakes, but one of the main mistakes is like a focus on interconnectivity and like thinking that that's what people want from these things. And it is certainly what we want, but we also want it to be a good movie on its own. And I feel like if you were to watch this movie and have never seen anything else in the MCU, you would still get something out of it. And I appreciated that about the movie. And I definitely have criticisms about the thinness of some of the characters. It definitely felt like a Yelena movie, and everybody else was in it. And what we got with Yelena was good and interesting and interestingly presented, and all the characters served her story very well. And so if that's the movie, fine. But it would have been nice to have a little more peppered in there with these other characters, like Zach was saying. And yeah, I mean, like in my personal life, there was a bunch said in this movie that really resonated with me that I was not expecting to be in this movie. And so I appreciated that too. I'm not sure everybody would have the same experience just because they're not me. But I think it's also touches on topics that they really haven't. If they've gone to it, it hasn't been the main thrust of a film. It certainly hasn't been the thrust behind the physical things that are happening in a film. And I appreciated that they managed to like combine those two things. I thought it was well done in that way. And the humor worked for me for the most part, even though it was all pretty shallow. And yeah, I think it's like a solid entry. This is what I expect the B-level Marvel movies to be at. And lately they've been like at the C or D level. I want A's for the really good ones and B's for the ones that are not really good. And I feel like we got a good decade of that post like Incredible Hulk. You know what I mean? Like post Incredible Hulk, we got very little lower than a B in my book. And lately that has not been the hit ratio. So
yeah, I mean, like the whole Avengers phase of Marvel is not flawless. There's some bad ones in there, but like their batting average was super high. If you look at all those movies leading up to Endgame.
Yeah, and it all kind of
post Endgame has just been floundering.
Right. And it's super easy to blame Marvel TV on that. I think that's part of it. Maybe the pandemic is part of it. Casting decisions that didn't work out as well as Marvel wanted it to is part of it. Also, like multiverse is just kind of like a confusing thing for people to really latch onto if you're not doing it very well. There are good multiverse movies within the MCU. It's just they were standalone. Like the overarching multiverse idea just never fully gained steam for me.
What's a good multiverse MCU movie?
The Spider-Man one.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That's fair.
Yeah. It's one of the better of any multiverse movie in my opinion. So
yeah.
If that Spider-Man one had been the end of the multiverse movies, I would have been happy. That was a good enough finale for me. Anyway, so bottom line, I enjoyed it. But ultimately, I don't really care.
I was surprised. I was surprised that Julia Louis-Dreyfus was such a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of the TV shows, but she has popped up in them. Correct, as like other character, well, not same character, but she's popped up in other TV shows.
From my memory, she has like a scene here or a scene there, but she's never like the main thrust. I haven't watched Agatha, but I think I've seen all the other ones.
Okay. Zach, did you watch Captain America: Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier, yes.
No, the TV show Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So that kind of set up this Captain America.
Okay. I kind of filled in the gaps from like one line they said in the movie.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not an essential show whatsoever, but it was kind of interesting to see them bring that Captain America back.
He wasn't super likable at all. He was my least favorite character.
I think it's kind of the point.
I guess, but like, does anyone like him or enjoy him?
That's why he was only Captain America for like a brief time, I think.
Okay.
Well, that and the extrajudicial murders, that didn't help either.
Sure, yeah. He wasn't a very good Captain America.
No, that serum went to his head a little too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that was my issue with a lot of the characters is like, I feel like even though this is kind of their version of Suicide Squad, where it's like a lot of complicated bad guys together on a team, everybody else is kind of treated like fodder for the Yelena character, comedic or otherwise. And so for a movie that Inside Out style tried to be about more, kind of, and like base its plot around its themes, I felt like maybe it would have been nice to get a little more of that jammed in with the other characters.
Yeah, this movie moved. It's 2
Mhm.
hours long. It
Right.
never really dragged.
Not like
And
that
at
last
one-
Captain America movie did.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. And like at one point we were getting to, I guess, the finale, more or less the third act. And I was like, oh, we're here already. Like it seemed sudden that we were at the third act when we got there.
Yeah, the third act is pretty unique, I would say, in Marvel films, and felt a little like an anticlimax to me. Comparatively, I was okay with it because I don't think they've done that, or if they have, I don't remember. But I liked that the credits snuck up on me.
Right.
Well,
I guess what I'm saying is this movie felt like mostly first and third act. It had a very small middle act.
Mhm.
And maybe that's where we're missing some of that development. I'm also glad this wasn't 2.5 hours long. So I didn't want a longer movie.
Yeah.
But it felt like they were definitely spending a lot of time at the beginning with these characters.
Absolutely. I saw this in a packed theater, and people clapped at the end, which it's been a while since I've been to a Marvel movie where people were that excited about what they just saw.
Yeah, people clapped at mine too.
Yeah. I
Nice.
saw it in a packed theater and it was very well behaved. I was quite impressed.
What do you expect in a Marvel movie? People are behaved in Marvel movies.
I know. I'm just saying, like the last couple of theater movies I've seen have been a little iffy with the audience. And this one I was like pleasantly surprised. Everyone was kind of chill, enjoying the movie.
Sure. I saw a post on Reddit from a theater attendant. It was on like AMC's A-list Reddit.
Sure.
And he was like, as a theater, whatever they call them. What do they call the theater people that like go up and down the aisles?
Usher.
Yeah, as a theater usher, I'm really happy that people are enjoying the pre-summer movies, but man, I can't wait for Minecraft to be gone.
I'm sure I can only imagine. It seems like the Minecraft is still amping up, like some of the videos I've seen. It's not dying down.
I think there's definitely a relatively small group of people that want to keep that movie in theaters as long as possible.
Right.
They're just seeing it over and over and over again.
We went as a family to see this,
Mm-hmm.
and when Meg and I go see a movie, we always go to like the bar and we'll get whatever the thematic drink is
Mhm.
that they have up there, which is like it's just usually vodka and sugar, but it's fun to split it together. So we got the Thunderbolt, which was like a strawberry vodka lemonade. But the guy in front of us, and this is Wisconsin, just so everyone knows, he got up to the bar and he just said, "Which drink has the most alcohol in it?" And the bartender is like, "Well, this one's got 5 shots of so and so." He's like, "Great, I'll have that one." I was like, "Wow, good on you, sir." Just what gets me drunk at the movie theater?
Straight to the point.
Yep. And then he was in the theater with us. He was sitting in front of us halfway through the movie. Got up, came back with the drink again. It's like, "Oh, we're going to double." Like, is Thunderbolts that hard, or are we just having a hard day? I'm not sure.
Sure. As long as he doesn't drive home, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get like 8 drunken drivings in Wisconsin before they do anything.
Is that true?
It's surprisingly high how many slaps on the wrist you get until they're finally like, okay, maybe you should get your license taken away.
They also have a higher legal limit than Florida does.
Really?
We're 0.08. What are you in Florida?
We're 0.08.
Oh, I thought it used to be 0.1.
Oh, well, yeah. When we were kids, it was 0.1. I think
okay.
everywhere's 0.08 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We ready to letterbox and then spoil this thing?
Yeah. Let's do it. What are you guys gonna give Thunderbolts asterisk out of 5 stars?
I'm gonna give this 4 stars.
I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I did like it, but I didn't really like it. I'm happy for other people that liked it. I'm not gonna like poo-poo that, but I was fine with it.
I want to get to spoilers, Zach, about what parts you didn't like.
There's nothing really I didn't like that much. I mean, there's some things I can talk about for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
I'm going to give it a 3.5. So a 3, a 3.5, and a 4 for Thunderbolts Asterisk. The spoiler discussion for Thunderbolts Asterisk will be at the end of the episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description. If you're listening on a podcast app, just fast forward to the end of the episode. Timestamps in the description.